where all of a sudden we're 2 weeks from closing and a roof needs to be put on.
Right.
And it turns into like a fire, like,
Yep,
it's
gotta
like,
get
oh my
it done.
gosh, we just went through that. All right, well, welcome to the podcast. Casey Chapman with Galvin Restorations.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was thinking I've known you for probably 20 years.
Yeah, it's been 20 years, yeah.
You were in the
Lots of
mortgage
area.
industry when I first met you, I think.
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
I was. Yep, I was in the mortgage industry for 5 years up until about 2007-ish when the market crashed, and then fell into roofing. My buddy came to me, he's like, well, I'm going to go start selling roofs. And I was like, well, I'll go give it a try and see how it goes, and haven't looked back since. It's been a great industry. I've met a lot of great people throughout the 18 years of doing this, and helped a lot of people as well.
Cool. Yeah, what does that journey look like? You told me at one point in time you were even storm chasing.
Yeah, we storm chased probably from 2010-ish to 2013. We traveled to Texas quite a bit, Oklahoma City, saw a lot of damage, helped a lot of people along the way as well.
Yeah, it had to be tough. So like for the Oklahoma City, so you were going there and that was a really bad storm.
Yep.
So not only are you trying to help these people with roof siding, like they're freaking devastated.
Yeah,
Right,
it was completely devastated. You go up to people's houses and nothing's left except, a toilet. So people's lives are ripped out from underneath them, and you're trying to kind of put it back together for them and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was a lot to see. That's seeing stuff like that. It's tough. Hail damage that we see up here, hail and wind, that's just cosmetics. We can get that fixed, no problem. But when someone's life and all their prized possessions over time have been taken away from them, it's tough to deal with.
Oh my gosh. And then you're like, let's put a roof on your house.
Yep.
So,
put a roof back and rebuild stuff too. So
Yeah, you got to kind of compartmentalize that a little bit.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, cool. Well, you helped us on a couple roofs, for Justine and I. Not only so we got hit with a huge hailstorm, probably going on about 3 years ago, and it was like baseball-sized hail that just murdered our whole area. So it was pretty bad. And I feel like every roof in our whole neighborhood, or every home in our neighborhood, got a lot of work done to it. So I got firsthand experience of how you were able to kind of guide people through that, and you just don't know when it's going to hit you, or you think it doesn't even apply to you. And in real estate, we see it come up quite a bit, that there is old claims where maybe it was a year ago or 2 years ago, right? And then they do the home inspection and they didn't even know. So then I end up being a part of it or involved with it, where all of a sudden we're 2 weeks from closing and a roof needs to be put on.
Right.
And it turns into like a fire,
Yep,
it's
gotta
like,
get
oh
it
my
done.
gosh, we just went through that with a client that's like, we had to have the roof put on in a couple of days, to be able to meet the closing date. So it comes up in us quite a bit. So, but I want to share my story that we had with you specifically on our rental.
Sure, yeah.
And I want to kind of unpack that with you.
Yeah.
So we had a hailstorm in our area, and we have a duplex, and we had you take a look at it. And you said it needed a roof, it needed siding, and it needed gutters. So then when we turned in the insurance claim, though, it was so busy with all these hailstorms, I think it was like a non-local, what is that called? Like a claim specialist?
An out-of-state adjuster.
Yeah.
So independent adjuster.
Yeah, and then they denied it, and you had to go fight for us. So what does that look like? Because I feel like that's probably really common that happens.
Correct. Yep. So what probably happened was the adjuster came out prior to us getting involved, inspected the property, said there was probably minor damages, not enough to meet the criteria to get approved through insurance for that insurance company. So then what we have to do as a contractor, we come in, look at the job as a whole, do a full inspection, top to bottom, look at siding, windows, roofs, all soft metals at the property, do the full inspection, chalk everything up, submit all the photos through our CRM to the insurance carrier. At that point, they review them all and decide what they're going to do with the claim. We have to talk with them behind the scenes and push for the re-inspection. And at that point, we meet back out at the property and go through the whole job as if we just saw it for the first time with that adjuster. and then we push the envelope for all the stuff that is damaged that is warranted to get paid for by, that carrier. And at that point, it gets approved.
Yeah, we challenged it.
Oh yeah,
so we had to challenge it.
Yep.
It took and just so people know, this didn't happen overnight.
No,
right?
no,
this
it takes
was like
time.
a multiple. I think it took us like 90 days.
Yep.
By the time it was done, from beginning to end, to get them to finally approve it. So you had to keep going back, and we had to stay in touch with our insurance agent, right, and get it overturned. But we got it done.
We got it done. Yep.
Yeah.
Got a new looking house after that.
We did, like roof, siding, gutters. It's like,
Right.
oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, we did the flat roof too.
Yeah, you did. And then you went back and you guys inspected. After you were doing, I think it might have been in the middle of the work, you realized this flat roof also needs to be replaced.
Yep.
And that was a little like 10 by 12, and that was like $5,000.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Just because it tied into the siding and all the flashings were bad and would cause more problems over time. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So I appreciate that. That was
Yep.
awesome.
No
I feel
problem.
like we had a lot of
Yeah.
really, really big wins there.
Yep.
I've seen some big hailstorms here in western Wisconsin just recently, and I'm sure it's all over. That's just where I have noticed that. Has there been anywhere else that's had hail here in the Twin Cities? This is summer 2025 right now.
summer 25, there's been some small pockets in Minnesota, nothing too major. The biggest storm hit Eau Claire area all the way down through Madison. That was back in early June. And then we had another big one June 19th that hit New Richmond, Baldwin areas, like Osceola, parts of Hammond maybe. So
Was that the same time those big tornadoes?
yes.
It was?
Yep.
Okay.
Same day that all those storms kind of popped off. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's a whole line through there. If people live in that area and they're watching or listening to this, you probably should have your roof
Yeah.
inspected. Because it's
good.
free, right?
It's a free inspection that we would come out, do a full free inspection just to see if it's even a chance that would warrant a claim or not. You don't just want to, a storm came through, you don't just want to call and say, hey, let's make a claim. You want to be for sure you're making a claim. You want to make for sure that you have the amount of damage that you need to get approved. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You got a claim on your record, and you're wasting the insurance company's time to have them come out there.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that and most people don't, that if you make a claim to your insurance company and it gets denied and it never gets approved, it's a negative ding for
It
you.
still sits there, yeah.
Yeah, right?
It's like your driving record.
I know, right? And I didn't know that, so we opened up a claim on something on our house on a retaining wall that had fallen over.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I'm just going to try. And then my insurance agent just brought that up to me when we were going for a renewal. Well, you got that one claim you tried.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I had no idea. So they really need to make sure.
100%.
First,
Yeah, just
that-
make sure that you're doing the right thing by making the claim. Have us come out, do the free inspection. We'll tell you, nope, you don't have enough damage that would warrant, or yes, you do. At least you have the peace of mind knowing that even if you didn't have damage, that's fine. No big deal to us. We don't want to make sure that we're taking care of you the right way. We don't push a claim that's not there.
Yeah.
A lot of companies come out, they will push a claim just because they want to see if they can make money. At the end of the day, we all want to do the right thing at Galvin. So that's the biggest thing, is that we only are pushing claims that are warranted. We don't push a claim that's, you got a tiny bit of damage, let's see if we can get it bought. It's not worth it to us or to you or to waste your insurance company's time.
What are some of the big misconceptions? So as someone is thinking that they got hit by a claim, is there any other misconceptions that they need to be aware of? Like, one I can think of is when they look at it, they might think it's fine, but when you look at it, you can see damage that they aren't trained to see.
Right. So doing this for 18 years, your eyes are constantly looking at roofs when you're driving. It's just a natural thing that you get up on a roof and you can just see the hail damage pop out. Some people don't know what they're looking for. So, use chalk to kind of identify stuff that helps pop out in pictures. Touching it, you see if it's a soft pocket on a hail hit.
What does that mean? A soft pocket?
So when the hail actually hits the shingle, it actually bruises it, kind of like the theory of an apple. You push the skin in with your thumb, and it makes that indentation, so it's like a bruise.
Yep.
Same concept with the hail that hits the shingle. When the hail comes down, it bruises that shingle in the matting, and it makes a little soft pocket. So when you're feeling it, you can actually feel where it actually hit, and it bruises that matting. That's what causes problem over time, and that's maybe might not cause a leak now, but over time, water will pool up in those low spots, deteriorate that area, and eventually potentially cause a leak later on.
Okay. How far back can someone go? Like how long can you file a claim for?
Minnesota's 2 years. You know, it all depends on the carrier too. So sometimes some insurance companies in the Wisconsin, you can have 2 years, like State Farm will allow 2 years. Most insurance companies are starting to push for that 1 year mark from the date of loss.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's more important now.
More important now to act on it. You know, if a storm happens, storm seasons are a short period anyways. It's usually from May till about September. And you got that short window to make that claim, you know, and get the work done before winter hits here and because the state of Minnesota and Wisconsin. So you don't have a ton of time just to do work year round. So you got to kind of plan accordingly and you want to act on it. If you have a storm that hit your house, you'd want to act on it and figure out if we want to come out and do a free inspection, see if the damage is there. If not, you know, go from there.
Are there any other mistakes that people make when they're getting ready for their insurance? Like, do you need to lead the way for them? Do they lead the way for the claim? Who leads the way on this?
So once you make the claim, you know, say there's damage, we come out, do the free inspection, you make the claim. We would actually meet the adjuster out at your property. Since we already did the full inspection already, we documented every single picture that the insurance company is going to look at as well in our CRM. And when we sit down with the adjuster, we are walking through that job just as if they're seeing it for the first time, the adjuster is, but we already did everything that he's already going to do prior to them coming out. So meeting them, walking through everything, pushing for all the damages that we've seen prior to having the claim made. And at that point, once the claim is actually approved by the insurance company, we actually sit down, walk you through all the insurance paperwork because it's confusing. There's a lot of numbers and abbreviations. So we sit down, walk you through all the paperwork, figure out what things you want to get done on the claim, what things you're not wanting to get done, you know, because at the end of the day, it's the homeowner's discretion on what they want to do at their house and fix. What main concern is obviously always is the roof and siding. Windows, gutters are cosmetic, but sometimes they're beat up pretty bad that you want to, you know, take care of them because it's an eyesore if you see all the dings on all over the downspouts.
Yeah.
Once you meet the adjuster, do all that, go over the paperwork, we basically go over colors, selections for the siding and roofing, pick out colors, and then get your job done within 1 day for the roof. Roof will take 1 day, siding anywhere from 3 to 4 days.
That's what I'm always so impressed by.
Yeah, in and out in 1 day.
These are like the hardest working guys and gals ever. I say guys and gals because I've seen both, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where they are literally there like 7 a.m., they will work until that job is done.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, some of the smaller jobs that we get, you know, we could do 2 of those jobs in a day, but, you know, bigger 50 square roof, you know, they're in and out in the day. Our dump trailers come in the day of the job. They leave the day of the job. We don't have a dumpster sitting in your driveway for a week. Half the jobs on our trailers we own, we bring them in, bring them out same day.
How big is this crew that's coming in there that they're able to do that?
You know, 7, 8 guys.
7, 8, yeah.
Yep.
And what else I was really impressed with is there's no nails or garbage or anything around the property.
Nope, they pick up everything from nails to little debris, protect all your landscaping. If you went to work and you came home, you know, you probably wouldn't know your roof even got done.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was for us.
Yep.
Like we had a big roof. Like, yeah, and it was still a 1 day job.
Correct.
Which was really impressive.
Yeah,
Like,
it's nice just to have them get in, get out, and be out of your hair and go on with your summer.
yeah, and you guys are doing a few hundred roofs a year right now?
Yep, a couple hundred roofs a year. Yep.
Yeah, swell up when you got the big storms?
Yeah, the 22 storm, that was a big year. You know, that was triple what we normally do.
Triple?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So you're one of the few that are like, give us a good old-fashioned hill start.
It was in our backyard, you know. We're you know, are centrally located. Our office is right over in St. Paul by Regents Hospital. That's where our warehouse and main office is. And then most of us live out in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so then this Western Wisconsin storm recently got all those relationships.
Yep.
And you guys are more big on relationships now, too, than necessarily like storm chasing, door knocking, right?
Yeah, we're not a huge door knocking company. You know, we've done a lot of work over the years, and we got a lot of referral business and work with realtors and different insurance agencies. So
okay,
we have our connections for all that stuff too.
That's awesome.
Yep.
My experience was we got hit by this huge hailstorm, and it was literally like apple size hail for that one. It was monster. We got videos of the water. It looked like it was like a war zone out there of what was happening. And immediately people were knocking on our doors. And I'm talking like, I think that evening we had door knockers at our house. Like it was amazing how quick they were there with their signs. Sticking signs in yards. Here's an interesting one. They would stick signs in yards of people that they think they were going to work with.
Yep, just to advertise.
Yeah, and I think they're like deterring other people from coming.
Yep.
So, why is it really important to work with like a trusted professional versus these storm chasing kind of door knocker types?
Well, there's a lot of companies in this business now. Back when I started in '07, you could name them off the top of your hands on who you were working with because you knew all the people because there's no technology. All these gadgets now with, that tells you exactly where the hail is, exactly how big it was, and people can just go to those areas. It doesn't take a seasoned vet to look at the shredded vegetation anymore or watch the news and do your due diligence. Technology has taken over, which is a good thing for some things, but when you have that ease of being able to tell where the hail is, you can actually have so many people in one area right after the storm.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why there's so many storm chasers.
Is this like a live software now at this point?
You can buy it. Yep.
Yeah, I noticed that when we worked together, you were able to say, okay, in the last 24 months, these are actually, there's a couple of different storms that this could have happened in. So that's on the software that you're using.
It tells you the date that impacted that property's address.
Okay.
So it goes back a few years.
Are insurance companies relying on the same thing then too?
There's different softwares that they use, but yeah, similar but different.
Okay.
Yep.
But
you'd always want to stick with someone that's local. That's the biggest thing, I think, is not going with something that's an out-of-state company. Just because once you're all said and done with the storm, say they put your house back together, if there's a problem that arises, they're in a different state chasing a different storm. So you want to stick with local. That's what I would highly recommend for anyone making a claim. Stick with someone local, someone that you know.
Yeah, because then there's service after the sale. You may not think about that
Always.
On a roof, but like for us specifically, 2 times we've had trees fall on our roof.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
happens.
one time you were able to just be up there and fix the ridge cap.
Yep.
Right, where
Correct.
it fell and broke. You just put a couple on there and you're like, you're good.
Yep.
You don't need to get into a claim or anything like that. Yeah. And again, ding my record again. I didn't.
Yeah, you don't want to ding your record again. Don't do that.
Yeah, so I appreciate that a lot. So as homeowners are thinking about this right now, because we got this whole group that didn't even know. So for instance, this closing that we just had 2 weeks ago, the homeowner did not know. They had an insurance claim, I believe it was 4 years ago, on a roof. They had a home inspector come in, right? So the buyer had a home inspector do their inspection. They took pictures of the roof, and they actually flagged the house for siding that they thought was damaged, but it was from a lawnmower. So when they opened the claim, they thought the claim was for siding. The roofing company came, and as long as they were there, like they're looking at the siding, like, let's take a look at your roof. And they're like, oh, roof's fine. And the damage was on the roof. So I thought that was funny. So home inspector is saying roof's great, right? Don't worry about it. So it shows you can't necessarily rely on a home inspector for a real estate transaction, like on whether the roof's bad or not.
Yeah, I've met numerous ones out there, home inspectors, and yeah, they're looking at everything. They're not an expert when it comes to looking at just roofs. They're looking at the whole home, outlets, you name it. They're not a full, inspector. Just I'm going to look at the roof and make sure that thing doesn't have any hail damage. That's how we come into play. We come out and take a peek at everything. If you're selling your house, we'd always want you to call us and come out and do a free inspection. Doesn't cost you a thing. And then at least peace of mind that when you're going to sell your house, you're not going to have something arise right before closing.
Oh, it's a great idea.
Yep.
So you have to, especially anybody that's been in a recent area, you want to get that taken care of now. Like you made this particular closing spotty. It's like, is this going to close on time? Is it not? Everybody's nervous, right?
Yep, 100%.
Because you got everything lined up to be able to get in. And with it coming up last minute, everybody involved that we were part of was awesome, and they rallied and everybody got it done. So for products, what's going on with like the rough products right now? You had mentioned there's actually more durable products in the marketplace.
Yeah, there's options if you want to go into an impact resistant shingle over just your normal architectural, 30-year shingle. So we could actually give you a free upgrade depending on the shingle you have on your roof. If you have a nice architectural on there, we give you a free upgrade to Class 3 impact resistant shingle. And at that point, you potentially could get a discount on your premium, depending on your insurance carrier. You'd have to check with your agent on it, but it's a good opportunity to get a discount on your premium and have a more durable shingle to withstand some of the hailstorms that come through and limit your claims that you would have to make.
And so for these impact resistant, is there like a certain size, or can they not go there for how much it can handle?
Yeah, I don't think, if you get Texas size hail, baseball or softball size hail, I don't think there's anything that can withstand that. Because I've been on roofs in Texas, they're a year old, and it looks like there's nothing left of it. The granules are gone, and that was grapefruit size hail when it was going through the actual roofs.
Wow.
So I don't think there's no such thing as a total impact resistant, but up here in the Midwest, we don't get, bigger than baseball size hail very often. So I think you're sitting pretty good if you got a Class 3 impact resistant.
How long do roofs typically last? What's the economic life of most roofs?
Ideal conditions, which we don't have in Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So probably, I'm guessing, give or take 20 to 25 years, I'd say.
Yeah. So when you're buying a house,
depending on the type of shingles you have, but
it does, like a 20-year-old house doesn't feel old.
No,
right?
but you're on a 20-year-old roof up here, and it's architectural, which I was one in Cottage Grove last week, and she didn't get a roof for 20-something years, and the roof looked horrible.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm guessing, 20, 25 years.
Okay. And what are for the new shingles that are being put on? I hear about these like 40-year, 50-year shingles. Is that even really a thing? Do they actually last 40 or 50 years?
Well, you got to live that long first.
Yeah, right.
If you're putting a roof on at 40, 45 years old, hopefully you don't have to do it again.
Yeah. But is that a sales gimmick? Like, or do they really last that
There's
long?
some shingles that you pay a ton of extra money to get, the designer type shingles that are a lot thicker. They do withstand, a longer lifespan, I would say.
Yeah, but that's not the typical roof, though.
But that's no one's really, putting on a designer type shingle all the time, So I would, if you can get a Class 3 impact resistant, that would be my recommendation, for anybody that's got, just a normal architectural roof. If we can give you a free upgrade to that.
Yeah. So you guys are doing normal roofs too, right? Like not just hail damage, where someone's just saying, I need to put a new roof on my home. I got to sell my home, or it's just come to the point where there's nothing left up there.
Right. Yeah. We do cash jobs. Yep. We do cash jobs too.
Yeah. Yeah. So for inciting as well, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So I'm sure you've done some major makeovers on a few of these homes here recently.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Makeovers from roof to side and the windows, gutters, changing the full color of your house, soffit and fascia, you name it, we can get it done.
So for all the realtors listening right now, like why would they want to work with you over another company?
Yep. Why you'd want to work with us? Been in the business for 20-something years. Very trustworthy company. From start to finish, you're going to work with the same person. You're not going to be shuffled around from person to person. We're family-owned local business, and we've helped hundreds of thousands of people, around the area, over the years. So I would recommend going with us because we're local and very trustworthy company.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you were a primary point of contact too, right?
Yep.
Like you weren't handing me off to someone else and then they hand me off to someone else.
Yep, you're going to be working with the same person from start to finish. You're not going to be juggled around. So it's very personable.
I love that. So insurance. So we're seeing changes on the whole cash value versus replacement policies.
Yep.
Have you started to see that where some insurance companies are switching over to the cash value so they're not paying the depreciated portion of the claim now?
Yes. So depending on how old your roof is, they're going to put you into a different category. So depending on the insurance company, there's different criteria, but a lot of companies that if your roof's over 10 plus years old, they're going to flip you to an ACV policy. What that means is they're only going to pay your actual cash value. So say your roof is 20 years old, right? They're going to depreciate that 20 years, subtract your deductible out. So you're going to be responsible for your deductible and the depreciation, which is a percentage of that, 20 grand. So you're going to be paying a big chunk of money if you don't get your roof done. So you want to have an RCV policy, replacement cost value policy.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is so when people are buying a used home, which is most, right, pre-existing, and the roof is old, some companies are just forcing them into that, where they don't even have an option because the roof's too
old. Yep.
Yeah. So, and this is a factor that we're now seeing on helping people qualify for mortgages, right? It's like, okay, you got a $400,000 house, and these are just examples, but it's about $2,500 a year for insurance. But your roof is 27 years old, right? So now in the free market, if you want the replacement, the RCV, it's like $5,000 for insurance.
Oh yeah.
Right. Or if you want to take the actual cash value, which you're going to share in the responsibility, now you're back down to $2,500. So this is a change in the last 2 years that we have seen, and we're seeing it impact affordability for people. We're actually seeing it where people aren't buying certain houses because they're saying the insurance policy is too expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, and so this is a whole new thing. So are you seeing it much for the actual cash value when people are doing claims right now?
So far, it's been about 50-50. So even if you have the actual cash value, you're still going to get paid. You know, it's like getting 50% off at the store, you know, so you're still getting a better deal of by not doing the claim. You're still doing the right thing by making the claim, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So even if you have an ACV policy and you're like, I don't want to make a claim, I have an ACV policy. Making the claim still, you're still getting half off, you know, of your job.
Yeah, you're still getting.
You're still getting a chunk of money. You're still getting 50% of that you didn't have before.
Then you got to figure out a way to cover the rest. Yeah.
Or we, you know, give you a cash price because you know your insurance isn't paying for the whole thing. So we figure out a number that's going to work for everybody.
So you're trying to make it kind of a win-win for everybody to try to.
Yeah, we help out the homeowner. You know, at the same time we're still getting the job. You know, maybe it's not as profitable, but at the end of the day, we're helping somebody. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So insurance on the roofing side is a huge deal. And what we have found is when they're accepting the actual cash value, they just don't know. They're looking at their budget. They're like, well, I got two offers, right? You know, from insurance company A, it's $2,500. Insurance company B, it's $4,500. Of course, I'm going to go with A. Right. But you don't realize,
your coverage is lacking.
Your coverage is lacking. And for this recent closing that we had, it was that. So they actually had to pay at closing $7,000 out of pocket to pay for their half of the roof. Right. And I don't think they knew what they had. I'm assuming they just went with the cheaper policy.
Right. And cheaper policy doesn't always mean the better policy.
Yeah, by no means. So if you're getting insurance, review through that really, really close because you don't want to get stuck. Right.
Yep. Just make sure, you know, check out the wind and hail part of the policy. There's a totally separate section for that, and it'll tell you what your deductible is for your wind and hail, and if you have an ACV policy or an RCV policy. And then also check on if you have a metal restriction, you know.
What do you mean by metal restriction?
So if you got damage to your gutters and downspouts, you know, there's no coverage to that if it's not, you know, if it's just cosmetic, so they're not going to pay for it.
Okay.
Anything metal that gets damaged, it's just a metal exclusion.
Yeah, so we're also seeing wind and hail claim deductibles being increased, right,
100%.
Versus your normal deductible. So when you're reviewing your insurance policies, you want to look at both deductibles because some of these wind and hail are starting to get up to $6, $8, $10,000.
Yeah, percentage of the house value.
Yeah, right. Yeah, percentage of that's a big one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then what it is just stopping you from making the claim, right?
Yep.
So make sure that you have that proper when you're, you know, a lot of people are renewing insurance because we're seeing insurance premiums in our area go up,
jump up quite a bit.
Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Used to be really affordable for insurance here 5 or 7 years ago. So if you got your home values going up and all these claims, you guys are doing great jobs on getting all these claims approved. Is really crushing people's insurance policies right now.
Yep. It does. You know, it's unfortunate, but you know, no matter way you want to spend it, cost of the living goes up. You know, groceries, claims, cars, you name it, everything goes up. You know, but at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you're taking care of stuff that you need to take care of, and you want to make sure your policy is in place the right way before making that claim. Yeah. So don't just make a claim, check out your policy, figure out where you're at with deductibles for the wind and hail, and then have someone come out and take a peek at your property before making any claims, always.
Well, we've known each other for 20 years. I can give you a personal endorsement that you guys have helped us with multiple roofs and done an excellent job, and they weren't easy projects to be able to get approved. So like, I really appreciate everything you've done for Justine and I on getting our roofs approved and doing a really, really good job. And service after the sale too has really been there. So I really appreciate it. So I appreciate you being a guest today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks.